I'm John Ewing. I am your Douglas County Treasurer, and I want to be your mayor. Woo! I am a lifelong resident of Omaha, Nebraska, who has served this community for 42 years and doing my part to make Omaha a great place to live. First, as a member of the Omaha Police Department for 24 years, 9 months, 1 day, and 7 minutes, not that I was counting. And for the past 17 years, I have been proud to serve you as your Douglas County Treasurer. And I am a proven leader you can trust. I've worked hard for this community for those 42 years. I am not a politician. I am a public servant who you've trusted to provide you with essential public safety services in the police department and effective and efficient customer service in the treasurer's office. And with that, let me take a moment to just acknowledge a group of folks from the treasurer's office. If you guys could wave your hands, I think it's important. You all see these dedicated professionals who truly make me look good. I try to provide all of the things they need for us to be successful, but you never do anything great without a team.
Yes.
So thank you all for your great work for the citizens of Douglas County. When I ran for treasurer, I made 3 promises to this community. The first one is I said I would restore public trust. And as your Douglas County Treasurer, I've always been transparent, I've always been open, I've always put the service of the citizens first as we went about doing our daily business. We've actually surveyed you to see what you wanted instead of me just assuming I knew what the citizens of Douglas County wanted. As your next mayor, I promise that I will be transparent, that I will restore public trust to that office as well, because that is what I do. I am a public servant who provides leadership, who provides integrity to everything that I do for this community. I also promised you that I would utilize technology to serve you better, and we've done that. When I entered the treasurer's office, 95% of our customers stood in line for up to an hour to register a vehicle, to pay property tax, to even get driver's licenses through the state of Nebraska's Department of Motor Vehicles. Today, you can use our online services, you can use our telephone services, you can use drop boxes or mail to conduct these transactions. You can also use debit and credit cards in our customer service centers, as well as paying online with e-check, PayPal, and Apple Pay. I share those things with you because I want people to truly understand the importance, when you're in a leadership position in this community, of doing what you say you're going to do. And that's what we've done for 17 years. I've also worked with the state of Nebraska DMV to ensure that we got online motor vehicle registrations, as well as working with them on their customer service, and also being able to get them to provide a more robust and updated vehicle registration system, because the one we had when I started was about 35 years old, and it would break down every 2 or 3 hours sometimes, it seemed like. And so that's what I do, is I'm a nuts and bolts guy that works hard to deliver the services that we are responsible for to the citizens of Douglas County. That is what I'm going to do as your next mayor, work and get the nuts and bolts right. So you have great police services, you have great fire services, you have great public works services, your trash is picked up, your streets are repaired. That's what a mayor should be doing, focusing on how we can get your life to be a little bit better, a little bit easier by delivering those services that are critical to you. During my time in the treasurer's office, we have reorganized even to become more effective and more efficient. And that's what I will look to do with the city of Omaha as well. Look at how we can be more effective, look at how we can be more efficient so we can deliver those services that you deserve in the best manner, in the least expensive manner as well. I also promised when I ran for treasurer that I would restore fiscal integrity. We are an organization that collects $1.5 to $1.7 billion a year. And we balance to the penny each and every month. Woo. If you look around, there's not too many organizations that are as fiscally responsible as the Douglas County Treasurer's Office, that deliver the services to you as efficiently as we do. That's what we're going to do with the city of Omaha as well when I am your next mayor. Why do I remind you of these promises? I remind you of these promises because the best indicator of future performance is recent past performance. I have 42 years of demonstrated performance, demonstrated leadership, honest leadership, done with integrity to make this a better community, and I will continue to do that as your mayor. Leadership and integrity matter. I will continue that as your next mayor while serving this community as the commander of the Special Victims Unit. Unlike a lot of people who were before me and maybe even after me, I looked at what was actually happening in our community. And I saw some things that were happening in our community. And unlike most people, I don't just look at things and complain. I look at things and say, this is how they should be. And then I go about making it happen. So I worked with a group of folks from law enforcement, victim advocates, county attorneys' offices across this state to get 10 laws passed to protect women and children in one legislative session because of the things I saw happening to people in this community. That's leadership, that's integrity. When you look at things as they are, and instead of blaming other people, you look at how do we make it the way it should be. As a leader in the Empowerment Network during its formation, I was co-chairman of the Criminal Justice Covenant. With that covenant, we were able to continue to work with the Omaha Police Department and significantly reduce violence. Now, I'm not taking credit for the great work of the men and women of the Omaha Police Department. I think we've got one of the finest police departments in the country. Yes. But what I am saying to you is I continue to provide leadership in that area and help us become more effective as a community in reducing violence, which has led to Omaha being recognized by the Justice Department, the FBI, and a number of organizations, including being one of 4 model cities recently. As a visionary leader, as I said, I don't see things as they are and point fingers or complain. I see things as they should be and work to make it happen. And as your mayor, I promise I will take that same approach every day to the issues that impact your lives. I will build coalitions with you. I will build coalitions with not-for-profit organizations. I will build coalitions with the philanthropic community. I will build coalitions with the business community, all focused on making Omaha an even greater city. I promise to work with the department heads, whether it be police, whether it be fire, public works, or any department head, so that we can deliver the services in a way that impacts your life in a positive way. Government should not be an obstacle to you living your best life. Government should be a partner to you living your best life. And that is my goal, to restore that type of commitment to you, to restore civility in government, and I will always treat everyone with dignity and respect inside government, outside government, wherever you are, whoever you are. I will treat you with dignity and respect. A little bit over 17 years ago, my first day in the Douglas County Treasurer's Office. Some of them have been around long enough to remember this, but I promised them that my #1 leadership principle was treating everyone with dignity and respect. And I've done that my entire time in that organization as we've developed a team to do great things in this community. Also, as your mayor, I think one of the things we have to begin to look at is we have to begin to look at tax increment financing, also known as TIF. We are spending an awful lot of money mortgaging our future by going with TIF and then taking those property taxes and using it to pay off debt instead of providing services. I think that's a critical issue that we need to look at and find other creative and innovative ways to fund development. As your mayor, I will also look at ways to reduce our reliance on property tax. We have some of the highest property tax rates in the United States, and I believe we can do better. And I will work with anyone I can to ensure that happens. As your mayor, I will build an equitable, inclusive community where every member of this community feels like they are an important part of this community and they belong. Omaha is a great city and can become an even greater one. In the last 2 election cycles, I had the highest vote total of anybody on the ballot. So I believe that this community appreciates the service we've been able to provide in the Douglas County Treasurer's Office. In 2018, I had the highest vote total by over 2,000 votes. In 2022, I had the highest vote total by over 15,000 votes. So I believe people appreciate leadership where you have integrity, where you are focused on doing what is best for the community and not all of the divisive issues that really aren't government's business and really aren't the mayor's business. And so I promise you, I will focus on the business of the citizens of this community. I'm the right leader at the right time. Together we can move Omaha from great to greatest. I would love to have your vote and have your support. I'm John Ewing, and I want to be your next mayor. Thank you very much. I know we have some media folks. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those. And if the audience has any questions, I'd be glad to answer those as well.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Ewing?
Can we go with Chris?
Mr. Ewing, why did you decide to run for mayor now?
After watching everything that's happened across this country, with all of the divisiveness, I remember my time at the Omaha Police Department, where I ran toward the issues. And I felt like I had to do that at this time as well. To be quite honest, I could very easily sit back and just watch things happen and not try to make a difference, not try to make a change. And I said, that is not how I'm going to live my life. I am going to go where the people need me and provide the level of service I believe they should have.
Mr. Ewing, during your remarks, you said you wanted to restore public trust in the mayor's office. How has Mayor Stothert lost the public trust?
What I would suggest is when you make promises on the campaign trail, you should keep them. And there are some promises that were made in 2013 about eliminating the restaurant tax in 2017 about the streetcar being on the ballot for the citizens of Omaha. I will not make you promises that I don't keep.
Are you in favor or opposed to the streetcar?
I would have been in favor of a vote. Now, if I'm elected as mayor, I would have to see, Joe, quite honestly, if there's anything that could change that. And I don't believe you can stop the progress, but I believe you can look at, can you fund it differently when you're talking at least, from the last figure I saw, $440 million for the streetcar.
Do you think it can still be put to a vote?
I think it might be too late for that. I honestly don't have the specific answer for that right now, Joe, but you have to understand, when I win this election, I will be mayor starting in 2025. So that's another year that the streetcar will have gone down the road. So a vote might be an exercise in futility at this point.
So it sounds like you may have to live with something you don't like.
The part I don't like, quite honestly, is the fact that it didn't go to a vote. I can't say that I don't like the streetcar because I would have to see exactly what the plan is and how it's going to impact the community. I believe it's a great opportunity for economic development. I just believe it's too expensive, and we should not have done it without a vote of the people when it's that expensive.
And the mayor has said it's not going to a vote of the people because it's not a tax increase to pay for.
Anytime you create additional debt, that money comes from somewhere. And in tax increment financing, it comes from all of the taxing entities that don't get that increased revenue. So in effect, those organizations still need their budget dollars, which means we're going to pay more, even if it's not a specific tax increase for the project.
Mr. Ewing, you mentioned that the city needs to look at TIF, and you would look at TIF tax increment financing. What do you think needs to be done about that?
Well, I think one thing we need to do is we need to slow down and make sure we're investing in the best projects. The second thing we need to do is take an honest look at how is all of this debt going to impact the next generation and the generation after that.
Mr. Ewing, correct me if I'm wrong, do you consider yourself pro-life?
Joe, here's my thought on all of those issues that people want to use to divide us. My personal opinion is not the important factor here. The important factor here is that I don't believe government should be involved in the most personal parts of our lives. And that is across the board for me.
Well, I'm not trying to put a label on you, but that sounds like what most people consider pro-choice.
Well, I'm not going to accept the label, Joe. Woo!
Mr. Ewing, what challenges does the city face, and what will you do about them?
Well, I think the city, as I said, faces a challenge with TIF. I think we face a challenge with looking at how we're going to be more inclusive. I think we face a challenge with retaining our young people in this community and having them have access to high-paying jobs so that they can raise a family here. So those are some of the issues I see that I believe we can do something about.
You have a challenge as a candidate. It's county government to the mayor's office has not been a typical path in recent years. I was looking back today, and I think maybe P.J. Morgan in the 1970s, who went from the county board, 16 years or 12 years later, then he went to the mayor's office.
Sure.
Was the last time that's been done. And you start out way behind on money. So how are you going to overcome those challenges?
So the first thing I'll tell you is being someone from the housing development at 30th and Parker, and leading an organization that manages $1.5 to $1.7 billion is not a typical path either. Being someone who rises to the rank of deputy chief when I did, being only the third African American at the time to reach that level, is not a typical path.
Right.
Being the first African American in the history of this state to win a countywide election is not a typical path. So I guess what I would say is that I'm not typical.
Yeah. We're King 95.7 The Boss. As we look at North Omaha, it ranks in the top 5 in poverty. Do you have a poverty reduction plan?
Well, I think one of the things we have an opportunity to do is we have an opportunity to put more jobs in North Omaha. We have an opportunity to put more jobs in South Omaha. We need to develop better working relationships with all of the public school systems as well to ensure that our young people are not only prepared, but then have access to those types of jobs as well. So I'm going to be very intentional about building those partnerships so that our young people have a sense of hope, which will allow them then to be able to reach their goals. We will be very intentional about making sure that we are inclusive and that we reduce poverty in this city.
Thank you. So you want to find an alternative to the TIF financing. Do you know what that looks like, or how would you get to a process to identify them?
I don't necessarily know what that looks like at this point, but what I think you do is you have conversations with the finance people, you have conversations with the state legislature, you have conversations with the business community, you have conversations with the philanthropic community. What I do is I build teams, and that's how you accomplish great things. That's what I've been doing my entire career, is building teams to get great things done. I'll give you an example of how progressive this Douglas County Treasurer's Office has been. In the last 9 months, we've made the citizens of this community over $24 million because of our investments. We've also made significant dollars because instead of just investing in CDs and other things of that nature, we've actually been able to create an investment committee and invest in other types of vehicles to increase the income for the taxpayers. So that's what I do, is I build teams.
Have you selected a location for your campaign office for people who want to?
No, I have not. But we will be getting that information out to you and giving you ways to be able to volunteer and contribute to the campaign.
Mr. Young, I want to clarify something about the restaurant tax, your comments about it. Are you in favor of the restaurant tax?
I think we have to look at, can we reduce that restaurant tax, because it's making a lot of money for the city. But if you promise you're going to eliminate it, that's what should have happened. So I promise that I will look at it and see if we can reduce it.
During her remarks for re-election, the mayor mentioned that she's in effect ready to vote for Donald Trump for president. I'm just curious if that's an issue for you at all in the city.
The mayor has a right to vote for anyone she wants to. I will not be voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Will you make an issue of that, potentially, for support for Donald Trump?
I will not, no. Yes, sir.
I have a question, Sherman Wells. So lately I've been doing a lot of advocacy work for low income and the people living in OHA Towers. And the mayor basically commented and said, although she's seen the issues with the bed bugs and the water, that she won't step up to it because she hasn't gotten complaints to the city. So I wanted to know, would you be able to address, or as mayor, would you address those issues, even though some of the citizens are afraid to even report the issues because of fear of losing their housing.
Before I answer, I'll ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Do they live in Omaha?
Yes, sir.
Then I will work to make sure that they have decent living conditions and work with the OHA to help address it. Well, thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful day.